This time I built some amazingly cool, awesome 3D cutting boards. You said you want one too? So, lass uns anfangen. I have these beautiful pieces of walnut, maple, and cherry. For easier handling, let's cut the large piece of lumber into smaller pieces. To do so, I'm using my Bosch miter saw. All the pieces require a 60-degree angle. To make sure the angle is accurate, I'm using my AccuMaster. Once I have the right angle set, I started by cutting the 60-degree angle of one of the sides of each of the pieces. And that's how it's supposed to look like. Let's repeat this for all of the pieces. And that's one pile of maple, walnut, and cherry. Next step is to cut the pieces to the correct size and at the same time cutting the correct angle to the opposite side. I'm working on two different patterns. For one of the boards, I need two different pieces of the lumber to come together to build a hexagon shape. Therefore, I make sure 3 of the sides are the same length. For the other board, I need the pieces to look like a diamond or rhombus, meaning all sides of the shape are the same length. And this is how you will put them together. Looks just like a cube. For the glue up, you will need lots of glue and patience. Also a lot of clamps if you have. As you can see, because of the shape, you will need lots and lots of clamps. Therefore, for the next few pieces, I will just use tape instead. Apply the tape to 2 of the sides, flip the piece over and apply glue to it. Spread the glue and squeeze the pieces together. Then apply more glue to the top to attach the third piece. Squeeze the 3 pieces together and attach the tape tightly. Follow the same steps for the rest of the pieces. For the other board, we will need the hexagon shapes. Those shapes are much easier to glue together. I'm just using 4 of my larger clamps to glue them up all together at the same time. You will need about an equal amount of pieces that are made out of walnut and maple, walnut and cherry maple. And like always, apply the glue, spread the glue, and then put the pieces together. It's the next day now and the glue has dried overnight. I'm using my planer to take off any extra glue to clean up the pieces. However, be very careful with this. If you do take off a little bit of the wood on each side, you have to take the same amount of each side to make sure the pieces fit together later on. I'm using my table saw and my table saw sled to make it simple and safe to cut the pieces to an equal size. This size will determine the thickness of the boards. Isn't this kind of satisfying to watch? Once you finish cutting all the pieces, it's time to sand them down to make them look even more pretty. To do this, you can use really any sander. You can use a palm sander and flip it on the side, or you can use a belt sander. And here's a close-up on how you're going to put the pieces together. And here it is on a bigger scale. This is how it's supposed to look like in the end. Make sure you lay out a pattern first before you glue it up to make sure there aren't any errors. And now you will need lots of glue again. It's the next day and the glue has fully dried. Now it's time to clean up the board by cutting off the sides. To do so, I'm using my miter saw. And all sides are square. Next up, we have to worry about the top and the bottom. It is an anchoring cutting board and the planer will fray out the board. To avoid this, use a router and chamfer the edge. It will work like magic. Only take off small layers. And this came out perfectly. While the first board is ready for the sanding, the glue in the second board just finished drying and is ready to be cut square. As you can tell, I forgot to turn on my dust deputy. And now it's time for my least favorite job, sanding. Let's have some fun with it. Now the board is nice and smooth. It's ready for the finish. For the finish, I'm using Mica May Liquid Hydration Wood Oil. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight.
Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a few hours or overnight. Apply a generous amount and let it soak in for a flaw our world has been shaken on. Oh, what's your soul saying?
Take off any excess and apply Moose wood butter. I'm attaching little rubber legs to the bottom. Make sure you pre-drill the holes. And the first board is finished. The second board still needs to be sanded, but I will get to that tomorrow. Rise and shine, let's get right back to sanding.
My toes touch the same floor our world has been shaken on. Oh, what's your soul saying?
And wir fertig! Like always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done. Thank you so much. Tschüss!